We welcome you into the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead show. Normally at Quaker Steak and Lube, and normally with Goon, but it's 2021. I thought
Sorry,
2021
folks.
was going to be different than 2020.
Consolation prize all around. No, worse, actually. See,
Yeah, so far,
that's that is the crappy prize in the cereal box, Ironhead. That it is going to be different from 2020. It's just going to be worse.
it sure has that type of feeling to it. Man, it's just been a tough year in the early going here, anyway. But we're happy to have you along for the ride here on this snowy, or more accurately, icy
Icy,
Tuesday.
sloppy,
Again, Goon
crappy.
a little under the weather, so he's not joining us. I'm not sure where to start, Booch. That Penn State basketball, that was as bad a loss as they've had in quite a while.
Which is really saying something, man.
Yeah,
That
but
is a hell of a bar to limbo under, but they did it.
yeah, it just all of the momentum it felt like they had gained, and you really, I think, had reason to think that there were some really good things in store this season. It feels like it's all out the window with that. Now, obviously, you could go on one heck of a tear down the stretch here, but uh, God, that was a bad one, Booch, and I don't even know.
26 game losing streak, Ironhead.
I and I don't think
26 game Big Ten now. Nebraska had lost 26 straight Big Ten games, which means even Penn State had beat them multiple times. And then you're in the midst of trying to scrap and claw your way into the tournament. You've shown some
yeah.
signs of life. And one of the most god awful teams in college basketball, worst team in your conference, except maybe yourselves, comes strolling into your building. And what do?
Yeah, that's
You Penn
that's the
State
thing.
basketball it up, baby.
Yeah, it's painful. I mean, it's just painful. I don't even know.
I mean,
And of
look, at
course,
this point, if you are, this is, and I fervently believe this is, and this is speaking as someone who is stupid enough to have been a season ticket holder for this program for over a decade. So the joke is on me as much as it is on anyone. If you're still letting this team hurt you emotionally at this point, it's not their fault. I'm sorry to tell you. That's a you. That is a YP, not an MP, as they say in Boogie Nights. If you understand that industry jargon, that's a
yeah,
YP, folks.
no, that it was just, and it's one of those where if you find the way to win, right? Like if you get the W there, even as ugly as it is, you're like, okay, it's chalk it up to whatever, but it's a W and
Sure.
you move on. And but losing that game, I don't care how close. That's a game you cannot lose.
Well,
Uh,
you're right. It's an all or nothing proposition, right? Because in college basketball this year, especially with the number of blue chip programs that are down, and I think the fact that everybody does appear to be being graded somewhat on a curve when it comes to
yeah,
the eye test, just because of all the weirdness with coronavirus,
for sure.
style points don't matter that much. You get that W, and it's almost like in the pros, right? It doesn't matter if you win by 1 or you win by 20. You skate through, you get by, and you live to fight another day. And that's all that matters. But the flip side to that is it doesn't matter how you lose.
Yeah,
If you lose to a team that bad, it's tough to get back up off the mat. So yeah, it sucks.
it does.
Bad news for Jim Ferry, too, if he's trying to get that job. I'll tell you what, man.
Yeah, that it
Not
does
so
not
good.
help the cause. That is for sure. Because what it feels like, right? And this is going to be the uphill climb for anybody. And I don't care who it is that comes in the first time you lose a game like this, or a game where you're favored. Right? It's good. Wow, here we go. It's the same old Penn State basketball, and there's a multitude of problems, right? But one of the problems is, and it's probably down there on the list of issues that a coach is going to face, but it is this expectation of the fan base that every time you try to get excited, you start to think, okay, man, I think I can go all in with this team. No, you can't, because as you said, they will let you down time and time again. And it's just
it's a death spiral like that for sure. Like that's what makes it so hard. That's why it took Pat Chambers, I think, so long to break out of the cycle, because you can't just have one good recruiting class. You got to put together a couple of solid recruiting classes that allow you enough stockpile of talent to get over in enough of those games that you can start changing the narrative and work your way up to a Sweet 16 season like Jerry Dunn had, or a season like Pat Chambers had last year. And then if you don't maximize that window of opportunity, then you're screwed. And so like external and internal factors conspired against the program this past year, between missing the tournament last year with COVID and then the termination of Pat Chambers right before the start of the season. If there was ever a glimmer of hope for Penn State's men's basketball team, it's just winked out of existence, which is, again, I hate to be so fatalistic, but my advice to all of you is life is short. Just give up. Just give up. We're so good in so many other sports. Just let it go. Let it go. But again, I've been a 10+ year season ticket holder now. I am as big an idiot as there is out there. I'm as big a sucker for Penn State basketball as exists. Even I am telling you, if you want to continue to, I always look at it like I'm making a charitable contribution to Penn State's athletics program, and they send me free basketball tickets as a thank you gift. If you want to look at it that way, that's fine. But if you invest anything, if you emotionally invest in Penn State basketball in any way, not only are you 100% at fault, at this point, you probably ought to be fitted for a straitjacket.
I'd argue if I could. I don't. But here's the other part of it now, Booch, is okay. So you're trying to get out of this if you're Penn State basketball, and we've been all, I think, on board, and I'm still not sure that Ferry isn't the best option given what Penn State options
I don't disagree. I do not disagree at all. I think he's a good coach. I like him. I think he's a good fit here. And anybody who thinks they're going to go out and spend money on John Beilein also ought to be fitted for a straitjacket. Like you said, it's like, what are the other realistic options for this program?
Yeah, I'm going to try to get this readjusted here. Yeah, the other thing, Booch, to me, is when you're looking at, Beilein, it'll be interesting. I think Beilein may be Boston College bound now, would be my suspicion. Put it that way. That
How embarrassing is that, by the way? How embarrassing is it that Boston College takes, and we forget this here in Happy Valley, we forget that men's basketball is the second biggest college sport in America.
Yeah.
Right? Like it might be a shocker to us to realize that it's not wrestling or women's volleyball. It is, in fact, men's college basketball is the second biggest college sport in America. It's a revenue sport. It's a huge revenue sport for many other programs, including several of our Big Ten brethren. But Boston College takes it infinitely more seriously than Penn State does. And there are a bunch of reasons for that I don't know that we want to get into today. I'm not even saying that it's bad, but it's true. And just the truth of it is kind of embarrassing to me as a Penn State fan.
Yeah, I don't disagree on any of the counts. I guess if I thought there was a hire out there that Penn State would realistically go after, that, man, all right, well, this guy could get the program right away turned around and, competing with the big boys, then so be it. But there's just no confidence, especially in this era, right, that that's going to happen. In any era, truthfully, but not right now, not with everything facing this athletic department and athletic departments around the country.
Sure. And just again, I said I didn't want to go too far down this road, but just to say something real quickly about that point in particular, Ironhead, if ever there was a time that Penn State was going to buck its own trend and invest in the men's basketball program, It's not right now.
No.
Because the margins are so slim in the best of times in college sports. We're with the two revenue sports. Basketball does make money, not a lot, but it makes money for Penn State, and obviously football. You're carrying 31 programs, which thankfully we've been able to continue to do throughout the pandemic. And I don't know if you've heard anything differently, but I haven't heard anything that there's an imminent elimination of any programs coming down the line. So there's a lot of bills to be paid. And oh yeah, by the way, like James Franklin has us right smack dab in the middle of a spending war with the rest of the top programs in college football. So that the idea in a year when we lost $25 million, and we're happy to have only lost $25 million, that we're going to go out and all of a sudden spend big bucks on an offseason hire in college basketball when we have been at the bottom of the barrel in salary for our head coach for time immemorial? Like, absolutely not. No way.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's any doubt that that's not going to be the case. And so
if there's a Terry Pagula of basketball out there, that would be a game changer. But my contention has always been, if that person exists, it's like UFOs and Bigfoot. We would have found them by now.
You would certainly think that that is the case. So that being said, let's turn real quickly to wrestling because
yes, please.
Devastating as that loss was for Nebraska, for Penn State, the victory for Penn State Wrestling over Michigan was equally big. I just in a weekend where you lost the Iowa dual meet, having that opportunity to wrestle Michigan #1, and then to go out and respond the way that team did, getting the big win by Robbie Howard, which was just a sensational effort on his part. I just think sets the table very nicely here for Penn State now, and what it's capable of doing in the stretch run. And yeah, we're at the stretch run because we have 2 dual meets left in this crazy season, and then we're right into the postseason, just 3 weeks away.
Let me ask you, Ironhead. So 2-3 Michigan versus Penn State. Were there any outcomes that surprised you this weekend?
Yeah, I mean, depends, I guess, how you want to define surprise. It's not like I was sitting there shocked that Carter Starachi beat Logan Massa, but that is a huge win for Carter.
Ought to get some people off his back now, I would think, for sure.
Yeah, it's not going to shock me if Carter beats anybody. But, Michael Kemmer is #1 for a reason. Logan Massa was #2 for a reason. Those guys have done it. Have been there at the highest levels of wrestling for a long period of time. And that was a really, really good win. Again, I'm not going to sit here and tell you I was shocked, because I know that Carter Starachi is capable of winning the national title this year. But to go out and do it in that venue with the circumstances being what they were, and in the manner he did, getting the scissors in the first tiebreaker period and then tacking on a couple of points in that second tiebreaker period. I don't know that Carter necessarily needed any confidence boost at this stage of the season, but that certainly has to be one for him, where he knows now that he's capable of going out there and not just competing with, but beating the top end guys at that weight class. So that was huge. Truthfully, the biggest surprise to me was Robbie Howard, and it's not because, and I've been talking with a bunch of people about this. It was actually just talking with Jed Donahue earlier today about this. Everybody in wrestling knows Robbie Howard's talent, and I'm certainly well aware of it in his credentials. So the fact that he beat a guy that's not ranked in the top 8 in and of itself is not shocking. But Jack Medley has been around a while, has NCAA tournament experience from last season, has been wrestling at 133 this year, and competing very well there. So this is a good-sized 25-pounder for Michigan with a lot of experience at their home place. But to me, it's more about Robbie Howard, again, is a true freshman, and I get very talented, but he's had very limited mat time. No match time against outside competition, but I don't know that people are understanding. He came off shoulder surgery, and then there's been some other complications. He really has had maybe 4 weeks total, and they've been broken up of practice in that Penn State room. And I'm just telling you, the most talented of the guys that Penn State has had in the Cale Sanderson era, I'm talking about the David Taylors and the Zane Rutherfords, the Bo Nichols and the Jason Nolfs of the world, Ed Ruth, those guys all tremendously talented, obviously. None of them, after a month in that Penn State room, were lighting the world on fire. David Taylor was losing to Kyler Sanderson, and Kyler was a great wrestler. I mean, I don't, that's not a slight. But by the time January, February rolled around of Taylor's freshman season, he then was getting the upper hand on Sanderson. But it took him a little while to make that adjustment, and there's a learning curve involved in that transition from high school to college. And most
Sure.
guys have that opportunity to, okay, we can do that kind of behind the scenes for 3 or 4 months. Even the freshmen that wrestle, the true freshmen, they have a couple of months behind the scenes to make that transition, and then go out there, and they're able to get the experience of a full season under their belt, make adjustments as they go along, see all of the top guys that you would normally see in the Big Ten. I mean, Robbie Howard has had zero, none of that. And what he did in that third period, gutting out the victory, and I had a couple people, boy, he's really got to get himself in shape. Yeah, he's been in the room for 2 weeks. He's been wrestling for 2 weeks. Jack Medley has been, to my knowledge, I don't know how when the COVID shut down, but I mean, he's basically been going, straight through with the normal preparations and has the experience. I'm telling you, what Robbie Howard did to win that bout was pretty extraordinary to me. And again, it's not about Robbie Howard's talent level is here and Jack Medley's talent level is here. It's about the being able to develop the consistency that you need to compete at this level by being in the room and by seeing the competition. And he just has not had that opportunity. So to me, that was really significant stuff by Robbie Howard. And I'm really curious to see how he goes against Malik Heintzelman, who's, I think I saw 10th in the Intermat rankings this week for Ohio State. And Heintzelman's, again, another guy that has some veteran experience behind him. But Robbie now will have, that bout to learn from and another few days here of conditioning and working out in the room and making some adjustments. So this will be another really big test for Robbie. And again, win, lose, whatever happens, I just think that it's going to be a beneficial experience that he'll have wrestling on Malik Heintzelman heading into the postseason. So
yeah, and 10th, he is 10th.
yeah, okay. And so I think that overall, that was just a really nice dual meet for Penn State to get. Even some of the kids that lost, I think, again, will have uh, an opportunity to grow from it and learn. Okay, these are some, both Joe Lee and Michael Beard. I think there are just some small technical things that they can do and clean up and be right there against guys that will be contending for All American, or in the case of Mean at 97, national title honors. So I just think a really beneficial dual meet for Penn State to get under its belt, and for Michigan for that matter, to get under their belt at this stage of the season. And I've had a couple of people asking me about Iowa. It's not going to be rescheduled. I mean, I don't know that. I guess with authority. But I was still coming out of the COVID. I'm not 100% sure that they're going to compete, period, this weekend. But there's just not an opportunity. I mean, Penn State wrestles Friday night. And listen, Cale Sanderson's, to an extent, willing to wrestle anybody, anywhere, anytime. But you're wrestling Friday night and then Monday, and then you're right into the postseason. You have to be careful here about what you're asking your kids to do this close to the postseason. And the last thing you want to do is, start getting injuries and little things that are developing this close to the Big Ten tournament. So I'll be uh, very, very surprised if you see anybody, Iowa included, in the mix here other than the Ohio State and Maryland meets. And the Buckeyes, by the way, it has now been set for 7 o'clock and will be Big Ten Network televised on Friday night. But just such a
Deal.
weird season where Penn State, I mean, the season finale will be the home opener against Maryland on Monday. And I get no fans are there, so to some extent, what does it matter? But and then they're hosting the Big Ten tournament. I mean, they're going to have one opportunity to wrestle in Rec Hall this season. That's just, and again, grateful for that opportunity. I mean, and grateful that they had the other opportunities on the road, but they're going to wrestle 6 dual meets, 5 of them on the road, and it's just the way things worked out. I mean, it obviously wasn't planned that way, and it's to use the tired cliche, it is what it is. But boy, that's just a weird, a weird thing to add into the hopper of what has been a weird year and a weird season. Um,
So
but I
yes,
do like where Penn State's at.
yeah, I've got a question I want to ask you about that. But before I do, I just thought of this analogy I want to share because I know you guys have talked about, and I've talked about with you when I've had a chance to come in here and fill in for either one of you, is just the losses of opportunities to see great things in sports over the last 18 months, especially at Penn State.
Yep.
We just talked about a missed March Madness bid, which is, like a black swan event here in Happy Valley as it is. So to miss that was tragic. I'm still I'm never going to get over the fact that the men's ice hockey team has won 2 Big Ten titles and didn't get a chance to defend its regular season title in the Big Ten tournament or in the national tournament. That stinks. And, I am always, for the rest of my life, going to wonder what would have happened if Gary Anderson wouldn't have missed that kick for the Minnesota Vikings. And we could have seen the 98 Vikings offense versus that powerhouse 98 Broncos team in the Super Bowl.
Yep.
That, to me, is one of the great sports what-ifs. Well, if you know wrestling, the number of missed opportunities between Penn State and Iowa, no matter what happens in this postseason, that's just tragic. That's just, we're never going to get to see any of that. It's going to rank up there with that 98 coulda, shoulda been Super Bowl between the Vikings and Broncos. One of the great sports what ifs.
Yeah.
But what I wanted to ask you, Ironhead, is I know you don't get to travel with the team now because of the COVID stuff. Are you getting any sense talking to the wrestlers, to the coaches, to anyone close to the program? What has the effect on the team been like? Either team having to go out and compete in these empty arenas.
Yeah, I do think that's tough. I mean, I think it's tough for anybody in any sport, right? But when you're when you're in a sport like wrestling at a place like Penn State, right? I mean, one of the reasons these kids are coming here, there's no question, is that atmosphere and having the opportunity to wrestle in front of those fans and get that experience of having 6,500 plus screaming for you and screaming against your opponent. And the same thing, even on the road, that Michigan arena, well, they wouldn't have sold out Chrysler Center, but if that dual meet occurs when it's supposed to occur and it's at Cliff Key, I mean, that's going to be a sold out venue. Ohio State here would be a sold out or very close to it on Friday night. And those are, again, those are just to go to your point about missed opportunities and just not getting experiences as not just fans, but as athletes that you relish. I mean, those are opportunities. And again, they're going to remember the matches and the bouts this season for different reasons. And I get that. And Cal preaches, and rightfully, and I suspect all the coaches around the country in all the sports are preaching gratitude and hey, we get the opportunity to have these games, these matches, these opportunities to test ourselves against outside opponents when we weren't sure we were going to have that opportunity with all of the circumstances. So I mean, I get that there's some gratitude involved and rightfully so.
Sure.
That you're getting the hopefully it'll be the 6 matches in the Penn State will have this year, but you're missing out, right? I mean, you're just missing out on some really neat things that normally come with that college sports experience. And even with the, getting the extra year that these guys will have, first of all, some of them won't I don't know. I think everybody at Penn State. Well, Nick Lee's the only senior, and he said he's coming back. So in terms of the starters, I guess Penn State will have everybody back in terms of the seniors because it's again just one person. But some of these schools are going to have some guys undoubtedly that are going to say, "Yeah, I'd love to come back, but I got to go start making a living and figuring out the next step of my life." And uh, those are the guys that I guess I most especially feel badly for because that senior opportunity that you normally get, the whole senior day activity, the senior banquet, I mean, all of that stuff, right? It's part of the memories that make up the whole experience, and it's uh, usually a pretty big deal. And it's again, everything's relative in the overall scheme of tragedies occurring because of the pandemic. I get this is pretty far down the list. I mean, we have people that are losing relatives that have lost their lives, etc. I mean,
Sure.
nobody is trying to say this is the worst thing in the world, but man, it is tough. And it's not just that they are missing out on these opportunities, to wrestle in Iowa and to wrestle in front of all of these fans. But they're also missing out on going to the class, the Monday after getting a big win. I mean, Robbie Howard isn't getting the opportunity to have professors say, "Hey, well,
Hmm.
saw you on the Big Ten Network. That was really cool."
That's a really good
And
point.
classmates give you a little pat on the back, and just that's all part of what makes the college experience so neat for these kids, and they're losing out on it. And again, all of the college kids are losing out in different ways on different things. And I'm not. I don't want it to make it sound like this is the worst thing in the world or a tragedy, but it's a loss. I mean, it's a loss of something that they ought to be able to experience.
Well, and it's demoralizing for the fans too. And again, let's just say up front, it's all on a relative scale.
Yeah,
But I mean, you understand probably better than anybody, Ironhead, what a, a socially cohesive force Penn State wrestling is for a certain part of the year for a lot of people in this community. Like there are social rituals that are built up around watching those matches together or attending the matches. And you can't get inside Whiskers before or after a match, partially because the damn parking deck is still backed up. And that's being hell. Do you know how happy I would be to be sitting for
yeah,
45 minutes not moving inside the Nittany parking deck right now just
yeah,
to have come from a wrestling match? And right now we're at this point in our society where sports has always been a way for us to blow off steam and always been a source of recreation and socialization, and we need that more than anybody. So it's not that it's some great thing, but people are missing that, and it stinks. I want to ask you, so clearly you're losing whatever home advantage you got from having fans in the building, so
yeah.
that's a loss of what you would normally get from the advantage of wrestling at home. On the other hand, I travel is way more of a rigmarole now than it ever was previously because of all the precautions. So I'm curious, do you have any sense how much of an offset there is that even though you don't have a home crowd behind you, you don't have to go through all of the extra steps that go with traveling to an away venue? Like, has it balanced out? Is there still less of a home advantage? What's your take on that based on what you've seen so far from Penn State?
Yeah, I think there is less of a home advantage without the crowds, and the travel is largely still the same in terms of the uh, amount of time it's taking and everything else involved and getting acclimated. There's a little more involved now to the travel and just to the daily routine, I guess,
Sure.
for all of these guys. But I don't think. I, the one I would love to talk to Robbie Howard in particular because he's a true freshman, but really to all of the freshmen after that Maryland meet, and just ask them what that experience is like uh, versus what they thought it was going to be like when they were taking their recruiting visits and what have you to Rec Hall, and then I would really love. I'm hoping one of the things that and Penn State does some really neat things with the staff they have with the videography and stuff. I would really love to see just a juxtaposition between the Maryland meet this year and, God willing, we have fans in the stands. Let's just, for the sake of this argument, say next year we are full throttle ahead, and to whatever degree we can put this behind us, we have put it behind us. I would love to see the juxtaposition of the wrestlers coming off the mat against Maryland, and then whatever the first dual meet is next year, or maybe the first big dual meet, especially next year, uh, just to contrast that energy that. And again, I thought both teams, Michigan and Penn State, in this last dual meet did a great job of generating their own energy. I mean, on TV that looked like a big time dual meet, right? I mean, it did. You didn't sense that anybody was especially flat. I mean, there might have been some individuals here or there, although truthfully, I can't think of. I really thought all 20 kids that went out there uh, put out good effort and good fight.
Yeah.
And I do think that's a credit to the kids and the coaches, because again, it is a really different experience. And listen, it's going to be that Maryland meet is going to be the only opportunity I have to see a dual meet in person this year, and that's going to be weird for me as well. And I'm kind of curious to see what that's like.
So you're actually you will be in there in the gym with them?
Yeah, so they'll have me up on the track. Normally, I'm down at the scorers table, and they're going to have. For social distancing reasons, the scorers table will be spread out a little more. So I'll be up on the track, but I will be in the venue. I'll have, I don't know that I'll need them. I'll have the binoculars with me just in case. And truthfully, the track is where I called. That's where I used to do the dual meets from for probably the first, I don't know, eight to 10 seasons that I covered the team anyway. So
Yeah.
it's not a huge deal to me. But again, watching these matches has been a little different for me with the video streams that have been sent. But watching a dual meet, especially a Cal Sanderson coach Penn State team with virtually no fans, I mean, it is going to be pretty close to nothing. I just, I have been thinking about that. I just think it's just going to be a kind of a surreal thing.
No
Uh,
question. I mean, I don't know if you got a chance to see the women's volleyball match, Russ's 1300th win. Like
yes,
that was just surreal. It was surreal to me, the
it was.
experience of seeing an empty rec hall.
Yep.
It just felt odd.
Very odd. And by the way, congratulations to Russ. And man, oh man, I was thinking about. I've had a couple of conversations just about some other things that are going on right now, and how lucky are we, those of us that have been able to cover or follow Penn State athletics for the last couple of decades. Uh, when you talk about legends in sports, right? I'm barely old enough, and I don't really remember Gene Whetstone. I mean, I went to some of the gymnastics meets that
Yeah.
he coached, but I can't sit here. I would have been like 5, 6 years old. I can't sit here and tell you that. Yeah, man, I remember the Gene Whetstone days of gymnastics. But obviously, Cale Sanderson, Joe Paterno, Char Moret, Russ Rose, Harry Groves. I mean, you're talking some, and I'm going to leave out some people, and I don't mean to do that. Renee Portland is still right up there at the top of the list of people that I respect, that I've had an opportunity to work with in the media, and what she brought to the coaching ranks, Bruce Parkhill. But I mean, when you talk about legends in the sport, right? I mean, Cal Sanderson, Russ Rose, Char Moret, Joe Paterno, not just legends at Penn State and what they're leaving behind, but people who have really left long lasting impressions in their sport. It's been a pretty special time here to be covering these
Yeah.
athletic programs, and it's been a lot of fun, and it's neat to see guys like Russ Rose, who have carved their own way, be able to get the recognition that they deserve.
Amen.
Let's take a break here. We'll come back, talk a little bit. I'm encouraged as a Penguins fan about some things happening there. We'll talk a little bit more about that and kind of the national scene here on sports, and probably do a little bit of an early wrap here, just to move on and hopefully put this latest storm behind us. Although it sounds like Thursday's show may very well be remote as well. Because it's 2021. I thought once 2020 ended, we were done with it's just the year. But I think as we opened the program with, I think it's actually more so now in 2021 than it was even in 2020. But we're back with more of our Tuesday edition right after this on the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead show.
Lion Country Kia is offering exceptional deals on your new Kia during Kia's Command the Season event.
We have a nice selection on the 2021 Kia Sportage with various options and prices as low as $26,800, saving you $3,000. Or if you demand big power and towing capacity, slip into one of the 2021 Kia Sorrentos available on our lot starting at $32,680.
Discover why Kia drivers throughout the area come to Lion Country Kia or visit online at lioncountrykia.com.
Introducing the new dusted Ghost Pepper at Quaker Steak and Lube. 11,700 SHUs of fire dusted on award-winning wings. Try it, or are you afraid of the heat?
Hi, Johnny Broom here. If you're in the market for a new Hyundai or a pre-owned car, truck, van, or SUV, nobody beats a Blaze Alexander deal. But don't take my word for it.
Hey, Goon says tell him Johnny sent you.
Hey, tell him Johnny sent ya.
Tell him Johnny sent you.
Wait, tell him Juan or tell him Johnny sent you?
Tell him Johnny sent you.
Here at Bill Pickle's Tap Room, we say,
tell him Johnny sent you.
And remember,
tell him Johnny sent you.
Hey, we welcome you back in. I do love those commercials, I gotta tell you. We welcome you back into the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead show here. Chris Buchignani, kind enough to fill in for the Dear Goon again today, and we appreciate that as always. Hope the Dear Goon is feeling better by Thursday and that we have some better weather for Thursday's show as well.
We'll take 1 out of 2 at this point.
Yeah.
2021, man.
Also, I want to thank Quaker Steak
50%.
Normally hosting us. They have been with us all the way and just great people. Really, all of our sponsors, Lion Country Kia and Quaker Steak and Lube, though, have been just remarkable in their steadfastness and staying with us. And I'm telling you, when you get weather like this, you can do a lot worse than a bucket of wings from Quaker Steak and Lube to make you feel a little better and to warm both yourself and your spirits.
No joke, Ironhead. I honestly did not stage this, and people can be confident that I didn't because I just found out only moments before the show was starting that I was filling in for Goon today since he's under the weather. But I had this right here in my Quaker Steak and Lube gift card. These things are excellent. They're a great way to bank a little money for yourself or give a good gift. They're like great. Like if you want to thank the teachers, teachers have been put up with a lot of crap this year. So if you want to give your teacher for your kids, great gift, Quaker Steak and Lube gift card. They can get those. They're great for any time.
Yep. Give the Lube a call again. You can eat down there or give them a call and get your food to go at 814-237-5823. And again, we thank the sponsors for continuing to stick with us. And hopefully, again, Goon will be back and ready to go here on Thursday. Just a couple of things. Again, we'll wrap up a little early today, but a couple things on the national or state front, if you will. I've had a chance to watch the last couple of Penguins games, and I really am encouraged with the way they seem to just be buying in a little more to what Mike Sullivan is preaching. And it feels like some things are starting to come together. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that they're Stanley Cup contenders this season just yet, but I'm not sure they can't get there. There's still some little things that just drive you crazy that third goal that they gave up on on Sunday, where Malkin is just I don't know what it was. He was, I guess, trying to clear the puck, but it was like he just forgot that, okay, you got to actually just go ahead and push the stick forward and clear it, but he just kind of coasted with it and set up a shot, and Jerry just seemed to be out of sorts on that one too. But overall, I really, they're just playing a little more gritty right now, and seeming again to buy into the system a little more. Um, Not leaving themselves as exposed as they were earlier in the season to breakaway opportunities on the other side. And I don't know, it feels like some things are starting to come together for that organization.
I'm
All,
gonna.
all due to Ron Hextall.
No doubt. Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. I think I said this to you, Ironhead, last week. If the Penguins somehow win a Stanley Cup with Ron Hextall as their GM, I might move to another country. To escape the insufferable Pittsburgh fan abuse.
Well,
Flyers fans will
I'll
take.
be right there leading the charge.
Yeah.
No doubt.
But until such time, let me poke the bear here since you brought Evgeny Malkin up. I'm genuinely curious about this because the way I know what's going on with the Penguins is I follow enough Pittsburgh fans on Twitter. That, there's a pretty big crossover in the Venn diagram of Pittsburgh and Penn State fans, right? So so my Twitter feed, when I'm stupid enough to be on it, is largely Penn State centric. So I see a lot of comments from Pittsburgh Penguins fans. And so I get the pulse of the fan base just to see how people are reacting from game to game.
Yep.
And I know there's a lot of people who are starting to feel a little fed up with Malkin. And to tie it into the fact that you brought in Hextall and the entire management switch seems to be geared towards, if not now, certainly soon, Pittsburgh's going to be looking at rebuild mode.
Yep.
I don't think you're wrong that a couple things go your way as the season goes on, tumblers fall into place. This could still be a Stanley Cup run year for the Penguins. But like that feels like it's not a long shot, but it feels like they're not a favorite this year.
For sure.
Sure.
I think it's a pretty long shot. I really do.
Yeah, and I think that's fair. So my question for you is, and I've started to see these rumblings, would you as a Penguins fan, given the choice between riding with Malkin this year and then seeing what happens down the road, or seriously exploring an opportunity to move him while his trade value would still be pretty high? And I think you could probably trade Malkin and not be in full rebuild mode, right?
Yep.
Like he is the guy you would probably look at and say, we could get really good return for this guy right now. Like his value's still high, but that would mean breaking up the core of your Cup years teams.
Yep.
Were you more favorable to that, or are you going to re-rack and try to see what you can do with that core still intact?
Yeah, there's a couple of things here for me. The fact that I think Sidney Crosby is playing as well right now, and that's saying something as he ever has.
Right, sure.
Some of the little things that I think probably go underappreciated. He just is really on top of his game, and he's just a guy that has a tremendous sense for what's happening around him and being able to anticipate and all of the things that the great ones do. I mean, he is doing right now, but I mean, his conditioning is at, I can't think of a time that it's been more apparently obvious that it's been better than what it is right now. And again, his instincts, his ability to get in the right spot at the right time and anticipate what his teammates are doing. I'm extremely impressed with him. So that being said, I guess where I'm at is, and it's like, I guess always, it depends what you're getting back. If I'm the Penguins, though, yes, because I don't think right now, as we've both said, I mean, is it conceivable that this team, as constructed right now, could win the Cup this year? Yes, but I don't think it's likely. And I do think there are some moves you could make that would make it more likely. And Malkin is certainly the most. You would get the biggest bang for the buck, and I think that opportunity is something that you need to explore. Now, I don't think you. I think the Penguins are in a good position because, again, I don't think it's well. Man, you got to get rid of him because it's just not working. But I think you can. Hey, if we can get the right fit here, and we can get a couple of other pieces in, um, yeah, we'll take the downgrade on the talent level at his spot to upgrade the team at a couple of other spots. And I think again, I think you can get, as you said, I think you can get good return value. And yeah, I think it's something that you seriously look at and seriously consider, and you don't pull the trigger on unless you're comfortable that okay, yeah, by making this move, I think we can make a run at the Cup, if not this year, in the near future. Because listen, I think you do. It's kind of like where the different, different but the same in that the Steelers are at the end or near the end of their Big Ben window here, and I think you've got to try to make one more run if you think you can next year, or make that move to securing whatever your future is going to be at quarterback. If you're the Steelers. But I think that window with Sidney Crosby, again, a little more time. This isn't the last year for Sidney Crosby, but I do think, you have that generational talent there. You want to make another Cup run or two. And I think to do that, right, it feels like these next couple of years are where you've got to do that. And again, I think you can rebuild a little bit, and you have some time to work with here. So again, I don't think it's quite like for the Steelers. It's next year or bust with Big Ben, if it's even next year. Maybe it was this year or bust as far as that goes. But with the Penguins, again, rebuild is a relative term. But yeah, I think you can reorganize. You don't have to win the Cup this year, but I think you got to be looking at, hey, we've got to make at least another run here and give Sydney a chance within these next few years. And I think you've got to be looking at just about all options right now. And certainly, I think Malkin is a piece that is movable and expendable if, again, you get what you perceive as the right value in return. And I would not be happy to see Malkin leave, but if it's the right trade, you can get some defensive help. Crosby's line is just as long as Sidney's there, whoever's paired with him is going to be looking very good. And it still comes down to the goaltending, and Jerry is, I thought made some really big saves there on. Well, I'm forgetting. Was that Sunday afternoon that their win over the Islanders? Whenever it was, he did have some really the second period he had some sensational saves, but he had some big ones in that third period. And again, you're just looking for the consistency there from him and getting a little more help from his teammates. And I think you've been seeing that over the last week or two. So again, I don't think the Penguins have to be we've got to make a move, but I think you'd be crazy not to be exploring options right now. And I think they're in a good position right now, kind of the position you want to be in, where let's see what we can get, and if we get something that seems like it would make sense for the team and take that next step forward, let's do it. And if we don't, let's keep working, because again, I do think they're getting close to figuring some things out. With the system they have and with the way they need to play with the talent that they have right now on that roster. I want to do a real quick too, but before we leave, just talk on Urban Meyer in Jacksonville and the hire, the resignation of the strength coach. This does have the feel of a disaster in the making. And listen, I'm not sitting here telling you that there's no way Urban Meyer can turn this around and that there's zero chance that he's successful in the NFL. But this is such a significant misstep and seemed to be so poorly anticipated.
How many strength and conditioning coaches are there in the country? Like thousands, probably. Like you're gonna tell me? Like I've always wondered. Like maybe there's a couple of guys. I think we're super lucky to have had Fitzgerald and Galt here at Penn State over the course of the last decade. But once you get down off the tier of maybe like a few guys who have really been in it a long time and really haven't figured out, how much drop off is there between one guy who's getting a bunch of elite professional athletes to lift weights and another guy? The fact that you would take a chance, you're going to take a chance on your strength and conditioning coach. How much of a damn difference could it possibly make? It was just insanity. I understand, like an elite offensive coordinator, a defensive coordinator, a head coach. Maybe you roll the dice because you think this guy could be a difference maker. Your strength and conditioning coach, you're telling me you couldn't find a guy with a comparable level of productivity who wasn't just fired for being a racist? You couldn't find the whole guy on the whole planet. There was no other guy. It's just insanity. It's insanity.
Two things about it. One is, for one, there's guys with NFL experience, right? Like you would think that you'd be looking there. But the other thing, let's say that you think this was the guy, and that this is the difference maker. And for as laughable as you think it is, nope, I do think that this is a guy. Well, then stand by him and anticipate. I mean, you knew
right.
It felt like this was it felt like everything you were just saying about, no, this is the guy we have to have. We will stand by him and we will do this. And then the first hint and you had to know, right? Like, in this era that we're living in, and I'm right.
If you didn't know, if you didn't anticipate it, it's a sign of such incompetence, right?
Yes, to then turn around and fold and say, well, no, we thought it was really important, but it's not that important. And that is insanity to me.
And it's Urban Meyer. This guy's been around the block. Look, the Eagles just hired a coach who's like 19 years old, and this guy hasn't screwed up like that. I mean, it's making me feel a lot better about Nick Sirianni now. Like, that guy he just started drinking legally last month, I think, and he's screwed up less in a longer amount of time as an NFL head coach than Urban Meyer, who's like a top 5 football coach in the country right now.
Yeah, this just and I'm just thinking about it. If you're a player, right, already in the Jacksonville system, like, are you not already now really questioning this new hire? I mean, this is just forget that. I mean, it's a PR disaster for sure. But truthfully, what does it matter what the fans and the media are saying or thinking? Like, we've had plenty of coaches that media and fans didn't like and didn't think were the right guys, and ended up being fine. But it's hard to imagine that in that locker room right now there aren't people rolling their eyes at Urban Meyer and the decision making. And we'll see how it plays out. And I'm not going to sit here and say there's no way this guy turns it around and has any success. But boy, it feels like this is a train wreck in the making. And
you just think about how good Steve Spurrier and Nick Saban are at coaching college football, and how bad Washington and Miami were while they were coaching them. Just sometimes you are built to coach one or the other. Some people can cross over, a precious few, right? Pete Carroll did it. Bill Walsh did it. They're the exceptions that prove the rule, I think.
Barry Switzer did it, Booch. Barry Switzer did it.
Don't get me started on Barry Switzer's NFL tenure or Barry Switzer in general. But I'll finish my thought on Urban Meyer about this. I have a friend, God rest his soul. He will be immortalized forever by this great joke he came up with that he described certain jobs in football coaching as Walmart greeter jobs. He said, how like after you retire and you're just looking to like get out of the house and do something and make a little extra money on the side, You'll be the Walmart greeter, the guy who stands just inside the foyer of the Walmart and Walmart says hello to everybody who comes in. You know, that's not your profession. You're retired, you're done, but you're bored. You want to get out of the house. You're going to just, you know, get a little paycheck. You're all good. Walmart greeter jobs. He said, once you have done everything you can in the coaching profession, you want to get one more paycheck and you're kind of checked out. But you know what? If somebody's willing to pay you, whatever, you'll go in, you'll go through the motions, right? Like Illinois, that was Lovie Smith's Walmart greeter job.
Yes.
Okay. I think Jacksonville is Urban Meyer's Walmart greeter job. And to me, the fact that he couldn't even be bothered to think one step ahead of what the hell was going to happen when he hired this guy to be his strength and conditioning coach, to me, I'm like, look, Jacksonville's fans, to the extent that they exist, they're already checked out probably to begin with. Well, my advice to them is the same advice I gave to Penn State fans at the top of the show about our men's basketball program. Do not get emotionally invested. You're just setting yourselves up to get hurt.
Feel the pain. Accept the pain. We thank you for joining us. Speaking of pain, we'll be back on Thursday with another edition.
Get a Quaker Steak and Lube gift card.
Lion Country Kia, Goon and Ironhead Show. Do what Booch says, and we'll see you again on Thursday. Until then, be good and be safe.
Lion Country Kia is offering exceptional deals on your new Kia during Kia's Command the Season event.
We have a nice selection on the 2021 Kia Sportage with various options and prices as low as $26,800, saving you $3,000. Or if you demand big power and towing capacity, slip into one of the 2021 Kia Sorentos available on our lot starting at $32,680.
Discover why Kia drivers throughout the area come to Lion Country Kia or visit online at lioncountrykia.com.
Introducing the new dusted Ghost Pepper at Quaker Steak and Lube. 11,700 SHUs of fire dusted on award-winning wings. Try it, or are you afraid of the heat?
He's not getting that car in there.
No, sir.
Hey, look at these two troublemakers.
Johnny, how are you?
Wicked car. Is that new?
Yeah, it's a Sonata. Let me park it.
Oh, you're not fitting your car in there.
Chris, stop being a smarty pants, all right? Look who's got Smart Park. Even Bruiser can park it. Just hit the clicker. I can park it anywhere.
Beaver Stadium?
Parked it.
Even the Jordan Center?
Parked it.
Even Medler Field?
Even Bruiser parked it.
Hey, you can't park there.
He's got Smart Park.
Wicked smart.
Blaze Alexander Hyundai. It's wicked smart.